In the kingdom of Ago, the village council could wear only skirts and blouses, not by choice, but by command of the new ruler. It was a symbolic act of submission, humiliating for men raised in a culture where pride and appearance mattered more than justice or kindness. But many years ago, before the rule of these present men, women had been treated as nothing more than items for exchange, bartered and sold into marriages, used to pay debts, or offered as gifts to forge alliances. In those days, royalty wasn't inherited by blood, but earned by right. Yet somehow, for reasons no one dared question, the rulers had always been men. Everyone in Ago believed this was ordained by the gods. They said the gods saw into men's hearts and chose only the purest. So, most people saw no point in dreaming of the throne, especially not women. Any prince who challenged the gods' decision and dared to believe otherwise had either vanished mysteriously or died in rebellion long before their time. Now, the old king lay sick again, worse than ever before. His breathing was shallow, his skin cold. The village elders, heads aching with fear and confusion, gathered around him not just to try and save his life, but to discuss what would become of Ago if the king died. For Ago was the greatest of the 5 kingdoms, the center of wealth and power. Losing its king without a clear successor was unthinkable. The wives of these councilmen lingered in the kitchen, afraid even to speak about the king's health. They had been forbidden from discussing matters of state, as if they were too simple-minded to worry about the future of their kingdom. Their world was limited to sunburnt fields, heavy baskets, screaming children, and brutal husbands. These women toiled from dawn to dusk, digging soil under the unforgiving sun, planting food they barely got to eat, their hands cracked and bleeding from labor. At home, they were beaten into silence, many carrying bruises like second skin. A wrong glance, a slow response, or simply bad timing was enough to invite a slap, a kick, or worse. And while the women suffered, their husbands lounged in the shade, drinking palm wine, marrying new wives, and treating home like a place to be served, not shared. Anna had watched it all her life. She was just a girl, but her heart carried the rage of generations. She had seen her mother wear herself thin to feed her children while her father lay with new wives in leisure. He made no effort to provide, simply handed all responsibilities to her mother, and yet had the audacity to bring home more mouths to feed. One of the newest wives was only a few years older than Anna. Each time Anna questioned this, her mother would shush her. "Don't talk like that," Mama Anna would say, eyes full of tired warnings. "We are lucky, child. Your father has not sold me off. He only gives me work, not chains. There are women who are not so lucky." To her, it was better to be a slave to your husband than to be passed to another. That was the depth of despair and resignation in the land. But Anna didn't believe in luck, not that kind. She didn't believe this world was made by gods. She believed it was made by men, and she didn't want to live in it. That night, as Anna lay on her mat, she stared at the palm-thatched roof, knowing her time was coming. Her father would soon call her and speak of suitors. She had no say, and her refusal would be seen as disobedience. Marriage wasn't a discussion. It was a transaction. She would not live her mother's life. She would rather die than be owned. The days that followed were quiet on the surface, but in Anna's heart, a storm raged. She wandered the village more than usual, watching, really watching. The drunken men, the bent-backed women, the children who learned too early what fear looked like. Every time she spoke out, her mother begged her to be quiet. "Just pray for a kind husband," she'd say. "A man who won't sell you, only work you." But Anna would only shake her head, the fire behind her eyes growing stronger. Then, one morning, everything changed. The news spread like wildfire. The king was dead. The kingdom mourned for weeks. Drums beat slow and heavy. The sky itself seemed to weep with clouds. After they laid their ruler to rest, the elders gathered again to plan the succession. They had just begun to worry when a priest emerged, eyes wild with divine revelation. "A new ruler has already been chosen by the gods," he announced. Relief washed over the council. Smiles broke on their faces. They believed they would crown another man, strong, obedient to tradition, easy to control. But they had no idea what was coming. For the gods had not chosen a man. The sun burned hot above the kingdom of Ago as the people gathered at the center of the village. It was the day of choosing, a sacred ceremony, known across the 5 kingdoms. Tradition stated that royalty was not inherited by blood, but chosen by right. And so, the chief priest placed the sacred staff deep into the earth at the center of the gathering. It was said that only the one truly called by the gods could lift it. "Any man," the chief priest declared loudly, voice echoing across the silent crowd, "or any warrior, who can lift this staff from the ground, shall be king. For only he can carry the burdens of our kingdom." Warriors stood in straight lines, muscles tense, weapons polished, pride swelling in their chests. One by one, they stepped forward, gripping the staff with hope in their eyes, and one by one, they failed. No matter how strong or noble they appeared, the staff refused to move. The earth would not give it up. From the crowd, Anna watched. Calm. Silent. But her heart raged. She could not bear the thought of another man taking the throne only to repeat the same cycle of cruelty, silence, and injustice. No matter how many warriors tried, none of them would bring equality. And deep inside, she knew the gods could not be blind to the pain of the women. She stepped forward. At first, no one noticed until she broke the line of men and stood at the center. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The chief priest's face darkened. "Go back to the crowd, woman," he bellowed, his voice thunderous. "If you won't let me be a part of your history, then I will make mine." She approached the staff, still buried in the ground. The chief priest raised his staff threateningly. "You will die if you touch it. It is not for women. It never has been." And then, in one motion, effortless as if guided by the gods themselves, she lifted the staff. The crowd gasped. It rose as if it had been waiting only for her. The elders stared, frozen. The chief priest's lips parted, stunned into silence. It was impossible. A woman? Never before in all of Ago's history. The priest stepped forward, trying to reclaim control. "This is a mistake. A mere woman cannot rule. It has never been so, and it will never." Anna turned to him, eyes sharp and steady. "The gods have already chosen," she said. "You can fight it, or accept it. Either way, I am your new ruler. By morning, you'd best be ready to listen." And without another word, she turned her back on them all. The palace was still when Anna arrived. Everyone was still at the ceremony, stunned by what had happened. She walked its halls without hesitation, made her way to the king's chamber, soon to be the queen's chamber, and stood there, staring at the staff. She had so much to change. So much to undo. When the servants returned and found her there, they froze. Their eyes widened, and fear crept into their bones. They bowed, some reluctantly, others out of instinct. And slowly, they returned to their duties. 3 days passed. It was tradition. After the lifting of the staff, the new ruler would be trained for 6 moons by the chief priest. He would teach them laws, history, and how to rule with the wisdom of old kings. But when the chief priest returned, still brooding with anger, Anna was already seated on the throne in waiting. "I will be crowned as queen," she said, "and I will learn after. Not before." The priest and the elders exchanged glances, faces tight with resistance. She had already made her first decree, without asking permission. And somehow, they all knew this woman was no joke. Her coronation date was announced. The messengers spread the news across all 5 kingdoms. For the first time in history, Ago would have a queen. And she would not rule like the kings before her. 3 market days passed. Drums sounded from the 4 gates of Ago as people gathered once again, this time not to witness a challenge, but a crowning. "I am not here to please you," she said. "I am here to fix what has been broken for far too long. I have chosen a path different from the kings before me. We will rebuild this kingdom from the ground up. We will protect our borders. We will strengthen our trade. We will open our schools not just for boys, but for girls too. No woman in this land will be used, traded, or silenced again." She looked directly at them. "You will protect the women of this land. And you will raise your sons to respect their mothers and sisters. I did not come to ask for your support, I came to declare a new order." She turned and walked off the stage, the chief priest following reluctantly behind her. The next morning, the elders of Ago gathered at the palace for their first official meeting with the queen. They wore their finest traditional robes, thick wrappers, animal skin drapes, coral beads, and walked with the pride of old power. Queen Anna sat at the head of the chamber. She was radiant and composed, her beauty undeniable. She looked them over once, then again, her face twisting into subtle confusion. The elders exchanged glances. Had they offended her already? Then she spoke. "You all look ready to perform old rituals, not to rule a kingdom that is changing." Her voice dropped. "My first command," she continued, "is that each of you will return to your huts and dress in your wife's best skirt and blouse. That is the new uniform for this council. You have 1 hour. Return dressed, or do not return at all." Gasps echoed around the chamber. One elder rose instantly, his voice loud and shaking. "Abomination. This is disgrace." But before he could finish, Anna raised her hand. "Guards. Take him. 30 strokes. Let him learn how it feels to be punished for simply existing as something unexpected." The other elders froze as the man was dragged out. Their pride shattered like clay. An hour later, they returned. Please like and follow for part 2. Thank you for watching. We are looking forward seeing you again.